Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin Chamberlain, and I am the Community Fundraising Director here at CCF. Meredith and I have the pleasure of working with all of our peer-to-peer fundraisers at CCF who fundraise in their own communities in support of CCF's mission to find a cure for and improve the quality of life for those impacted by cholangiocarcinoma. Our jobs are to be a resource for you as you plan and host your fundraisers. We know event planning is not always easy and requires you to take time out of your already very busy lives. But with a good support system around you and the resources to help you be successful, we know that you can pull off a great event. So, we are so grateful for your support and participation in this webinar tonight, and we hope you find the information both informative and encouraging. So
Yes.
please feel free to use the chat and Q&A feature to ask any questions. Your questions will go to the panelists and will not be seen by any of our webinar attendees. We are going to save all questions for during the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. A few more things. Additionally, this webinar will be recorded and posted to our YouTube channel later this week. It will also be on Facebook Live. We will send out the recording link with our follow-up communication. And now I will hand it over to Meredith.
Thank you, Caitlin. And thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Caitlin and I are very excited to discuss all aspects of hosting a successful golf fundraiser. And as our panelists for tonight, we are very pleased to introduce two long-term fundraising champions from incredible golf outings, the Shell Strong outing and the Husky Open. Let's start with Noah Strati from Shell Strong. Noah, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your connection to the foundation and your golf outing, please?
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. I've gotten the pleasure to work with Caitlin and Meredith and Candace with CCF, and you guys have all been amazing. So thank you. Yeah, my name's Noah Strati, born and raised in Indiana, currently living in central Indiana, Westfield, just north of Indy. By day, I'm a regional manager at an enterprise rental car. I am happily married to my beautiful wife, Alex, of 8.5 years. We've got two kids. Charlie is my 6-year old. I've got a 1.5-year old named Vinny, and we actually are expecting another boy in February. So we've got number three on the way. So I got all the time in the world. Um, so my connection to CCF, my mom was diagnosed with CCF in November of 2021. She fought for a year, exactly a year, before she lost the battle. And early on, we there were a lot of emotion, obviously, and we knew pretty quickly that we wanted to honor her in some way. And I've had I used to work in the golf industry where I would run golf tournaments, so I had a lot of knowledge when it came to this type of thing. And I golfed my entire life, and my mom was always there for at every single golf outing and tournament. And so that was something that her and I did, as well as my dad, my whole life. And so this was easy for me to kind of make this transition to for this to be something that we honor my mom and with the amount of help that CCF gave us. Um, it was a pretty no-brainer for me to put the two together and start this journey.
Thank you, Noah. We also have members from the Husky Open, Chris Donahue and Mary Jo McAllister. Both McAllisters are here tonight. Mary Jo, do you mind introducing yourself and telling us your connection to the foundation?
Sure. I'm Mary Jo McAllister. This is my husband, Steve Sr. Our son Stephen was diagnosed with well, first of all, we're from Oakland, Illinois. We're just southwest of Chicago, and we our son Stephen was 28. He had just bought his first house and had gotten a great job and was happy and really getting himself together at this point. He was, diagnosed in June of 2021, and by August 25th, he was gone. It was 11 weeks of hell, and we just kept being told, this is very rare. This usually happens to people in their 70s and stuff like that. I mean, anyway, I don't want to get into all that, but I'm just the Husky Open actually was something that existed. Stephen and his best friend Chris Donahue, and their friends, they always did this golf outing every year. It was their tradition already. So that when Stephen got sick and passed away, it morphed into this whole thing that that we were going to do it and Stephen keep it going in Stephen's name, and that we would raise money for the Cholangiocarcinoma Foundation. And every year so that's when my husband and I got involved. We weren't involved with the planning before; it was just the boys, and they always had a good time, and good number of people there. But after Stephen passed away, that it was in October, right? It was 2 months after he had passed. We had 150 golfers. We, did a big party after, and it was just great fun. And every year we've learned a little something and tweaked things here and there. Chris Donahue, I'm going to tell you right now, is our general manager, Stephen's buddy. He's great at this, and we kind of follow his lead. We're there to do any part of the stuff. And we have another helper from our neighborhood named Tim Pender, who has actually stepped in with us. He's helped with many golf outings over his lifetime too. He's in the picture there with me and Chris. And he is a master at going around to local businesses, just getting people to donate stuff. He's been incredible. Before the golf outing, I have my basement is just full of stuff. So we have a lot of help from friends and family too. And I, like I said, we've learned things along the way. So we just want to keep it going as much as we can. I don't know if you want to say anything else about that part.
No, pretty much.
Yeah, we plan the golf. We do the golf outing, and then there's usually a short break, and then our local VFW gives us a great deal, and we have a big party. I have a band that plays for free for me, and we have great music. We have a big dinner. It's a Mexican style buffet, and it's just a whole lot of fun with all the raffles and all that stuff. So it's an all day thing. It's the golf, and then it's the big party.
After party, yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Mary Jo and Steve. We have Chris Donahue, his good friend, on too. Chris, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. So as Mary Jo mentions, us three, we kind of put on the Husky Open, and as she also mentioned, it started a long time ago, and we've been charitable for about 4 years, but Steve did participate in it for about 9 or 10 years, and it was like Mary Jo mentioned, just kind of going out with the boys, and we have a great community behind us, and as you can see pictured here, a big boatload of friends that help us out at every step of the way, and so. Um, I was originally from the Chicagoland area, Oak Lawn, just grew up a couple blocks away from Steve, Mary Jo, and Steve Sr. here. And I actually moved recently to Nashville, Tennessee. So if anybody in the Nashville area specifically needs help, would love to meet up with you guys. Of course, Mary Jo, Steven, and Steve Sr. and myself would meet with you in Chicago. And yeah, it's been a heck of a journey. And the one thing that, of course, keeps us going is just remembering Steve. And every year we do say that at the after party and at the golf events, that it's for remembering him and it's for living each day to our fullest, because you never know what's going to come up on your doorstep next. But I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be able to show you guys how the Husky Open operates, and anything, hopefully even one thing that I say gets taken towards another outing, then I'll be happy for that. But thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here tonight, Chris. Thank you. And next up, we have Todd Trader of Golf Invite. He has many years' experience helping organize golf outings. In fact, I have personally worked with him for the past 4 years to organize our son's golf outing, or I'm sorry, their hockey outing. He has a wealth of information for us to share tonight. And Todd, I'd like to introduce you.
Yeah, thanks, Meredith. Good evening, everybody. Todd Trader with Golf Invite. We are a golf event planning company that provides not only full service event planning, but products and services to events. We have been in business now for 21 years, which is really aging me. But it's been a great 21 years, and we work with events from first time events to events that have been around for a long time to like what Meredith said, local high school hockey organizations to major corporations like Ulta Beauty. So really any type of size organization, and no matter where you're at in the process, we work with all types of golf events. A lot of our events are charity organizations raising money. I'd say probably 90% of them. But the corporate outings usually have charities tied to them as well. A little bit about Golf Invite. We are based here in Chicago. Again, started 21 years ago. We do have offices now also in Wisconsin and Chris in Nashville. So I'll have to connect you with my person in Nashville so you guys can talk golf outings there and maybe start a Husky Open out in Nashville as well. And then we do things besides event planning, where we do event planning. We also have event software so people can run their own golf outings utilizing our event software and different degrees of event planning. And then we also provide things like hole-in-one packages, signage, logo gifts, contests on the course. We do golf ball launchers out on the golf course. And other contests like $1 million shootouts, putting contests, really anything that you need for your golf outing, we're here to provide. We've seen it all, we've done it all. We also can help you find a golf course if you're new and looking for a golf course or need a golf course. We partner with some of the biggest golf management companies like Troon, Kemper Sports, Arcus Golf. So we have relationships all over the country. And again, if you do an event anywhere in the country, we can help you out. You don't have to be in one of the cities that we're established in. We go all over the country for golf events as well. Just here to be a resource for you guys. If you need help with anything, again, we've been through it. We have a lot of great ideas and would love to work with you guys on your event. So I appreciate you guys having me and excited to help out however I can.
Great. Thanks, Todd. And thank you, Mary Jo and Steve and Noah and Chris for your introductions. Now we'll get into the questions. We'll start by discussing the key aspects you need to consider when planning your golf fundraiser. So Todd, we'll actually start with you. What are the key elements of a golf fundraiser, and what are some of the first steps to consider when organizing a golf event?
Yeah, so your first step is going to be obviously finding that location and date that works for your organization and works for all your key partners and or sponsors if you already have key sponsors going into it. So that's definitely your first step, is finding a date that's going to work best and a golf course that's going to work best. And that could be determined by location. It could be driven by price or budget. There's really a lot of factors that can go into that, but that's definitely step one.
Great. Thanks, Todd. Mary Jo and Chris, would either of you like to add your own personal experience when you're getting started planning for the next year?
I'll let Chris address that, but it's something we work on together. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Todd, you make a great point there. I think we have our golf outing in June every year, and we aim to have it in June each year. And so in December and January, we're reaching out to golf courses, and especially depending on where we're at in the Chicagoland area specifically, it gets a little bit difficult. And we honestly want to choose a little bit of a nicer course. We do have a lot of golf participants that golf pretty frequently, but I mean, we're on it in January, and we're hoping to get a contract signed by January or February at the latest, just so we know we have that kind of locked in. And then I think one thing that's important to mention that I do and that Mary Jo and Fahey, we have a spreadsheet, and it has so many different things on it because tracking all of these things over the course of 6 months can be a bit challenging. So I always get a spreadsheet going from a financial standpoint, like keep that in a tab so you can keep everything organized from that front. maybe ideas and just going through like t-shirt ideas or whatever it might be. Who are potential sponsors? Who do we want to reach out to? I think that's our first step always is lock in the golf course, like Todd mentions, and then go ahead and hop into a spreadsheet and just kind of figure out what we need. And that will actually help you year after year too, just because you already have the template set up. You kind of start fresh and go after what you had already experienced last year. Maybe you wrote a couple notes down from after the outing and you go back and think, okay, maybe we can go ahead and do it this way. So those are just a couple two simple things that I think about at the beginning.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. I love a good spreadsheet. Noah, anything to add on your end about, the first things that you consider when planning for the next year for your golf
Yeah.
outing?
Yeah, they both mentioned the location and the date. The first year finding that we actually go to the same golf course every year. And we learned the second year after, because we were typically doing what Chris did, where we would, 2 or 3 months after the outing, we do ours in September every year. And, by November, December, I'm emailing Ben, the guy at the golf course at Blackthorn where we have it. Hey, looking at dates for next year. And after our second year, they came back. He was like, "Oh, the date that you like wanted, another organization like has already like booked that date." And I'm like, didn't think that was possible. So then this year we had our outing and then I was talking to him, a few months before. I was like, "Hey, would it be crazy to book our 2026 outing now?" And he's like, "No, let's get it on the calendar." So we already had a date. We already have a date for our 2026 outing, and we actually made like little like magnets with the date and for next year, so people, and we put them in the welcome bag so that way people have like almost a little like save the date. So
Mhm.
that was something that you guys mentioned that triggered in my head. Like that was, always it's never too early to book the next next year's outing. The other thing I would say with starting up, for me it was like, okay, I knew I wanted to do it. I knew I told my dad. He's like, I'm in. It's like, okay, well now I need to get a team to like help me do this. So it sounds like the Husky Open, you guys have a great team, right? Like it's not just me. My dad, he's sitting here listening. He's a big part of this. And then my two brother-in-laws, I have two sisters and lucky enough to have two, brothers now. They helped me with this. They helped me with this, and my sisters do too. But building a team around you that is motivated as you are is something that helps me stay motivated and helps me, stay organized, if you will. We have a call about once a month when it's about 6 months away. Um, Maybe even more than that once it gets closer to that. But it's fun for us to do, and like I said, it keeps everybody kind of involved.
Great. Thanks so much, Noah.
Those are great tips. Todd, let me ask you this. Most of our fundraisers seem that they could get foursomes together, but one thing they have trouble with is the sponsorship. So, can you give us some ideas about if someone's struggling to get sponsors, especially in that first year? Can you talk a little bit about the benefits of having sponsors and share any advice on how to approach those local businesses?
Yeah, you bet. So, obviously with fundraising, sponsorships really are going to drive your revenue. That's one of your biggest fundraising efforts should be sponsorship. I always tell outings, it's not as fun, but you can have 12 golfers and raise $50,000 in sponsorship and make a lot of money for your organization that way. But obviously, it's more fun to have 144 golfers out there with a lot of sponsorship as well. So. Yeah, for organizations, really, the key is to reaching out to people who are going to support your organization and your cause, and people you know. So you start with your friends, your family, your coworkers, that type of thing. Um, it's hard to get into big box stores to be sponsors unless you have a way in. And really, you want to concentrate your efforts on those mom and pop shops that are willing to advertise, are local, and want to get some promotion and value out of it. So that's the other key is creating your sponsorships so that they do show value to the mom and pops organizations. What are they going to get out of it? Not only are they supporting a good cause, but how are they going to generate some business from being a sponsor of this event? So that can be anything from adding something with their logo to the goodie bags, coming out and setting up a table on a hole, and greeting all the golfers, and maybe running a contest out there, gathering, business cards or their information and running a raffle, giving away a prize from their company or a gift card or gift certificate, that type of thing. And really kind of just showing what kind of value they can get out of being a sponsor. Not only are you sponsoring this because it's a great cause, but you're also going to get this A, B, and C, and really just lining that up so they can see the value that they're going to get out of it. I think that's your best approach. But yeah, it's definitely one of the harder things is finding sponsors, Meredith, as you know, with the Brother Rice outing. But you go to your friends, family, coworkers, vendors that may be vendors of your business. My wife and I also run a charity golf outing called Birdies for Babies. We're in our 21st year here in Chicago. We're also in Ohio and Indianapolis as well, just outside of Westfield there. So sponsorships are always the key. And I always tell people, go to your local nail salon or whoever does your hair or your insurance guy, people that you're giving business to, see if they'll support your cause back. And usually you'll find they'll be willing to do something for you, whether it's sponsorship or donating, some type of a prize for your raffle or silent auction.
Yes, that's great advice. Noah, let me ask you, can you offer any advice on how you recruit sponsors, and has that changed over the years from the first year when you started to now?
Yeah, it's definitely changed. It's, like Todd said, it's a little overwhelming and intimidating at first. I think we definitely relied on primarily family, friends, coworkers the first year. We were very, we didn't go out, we didn't branch off very much when it came to our sponsorships the first year. Most recently, this past year, one of the things I was going to mention is like when you're going to these companies, I think the more personal you can make it, the better. Specifically in our kind of scenario with what we're all dealing with here is you never know. Well, you can say everyone's been affected by cancer in one way or another. I think everybody in this world can say that. CCF a little bit even more specific, right? So I'll give you an example. This past year, one of our big sponsors, who's a local company to where we're at in Northern Indiana, and the CEO, we come to find out the CEO's wife passed away from cholangiocarcinoma years ago, and he didn't really know much about the foundation, and so he somehow ended up on his plate, and he wanted to get involved, and him and a bunch of his employees came out and actually were at the event. So hopefully they're a sponsorship that we're going to have for a while now. But my point is, you never know who's been affected in what way. So don't be afraid to go and tell your story to somebody. The worst thing they're going to say is, hey, not this year.
Yeah, that's very good advice. Chris, Mary Jo, Steve, do you have examples that you could give about how you solicit donors and sponsors?
Well, it seems like we knew which places we could get a good response from over the years. And then when Tim Pender came on with us, he has a lot of networking, knows a lot of people in the area, and he totally knew who was likely to give. And those are the places that he just kept revisiting. He would go around to them once on foot, like he would spend the whole day just going in and out of these businesses in the local area. And, he would, if they didn't want to give right away, he'd say, I'll get back to you. And he would follow up multiple times with the local businesses. And like I said, he seemed to know which places are more likely to donate. Although I was going to say to Chris, I already have somebody, my eye doctor in Mount Greenwood just told me that they want to give for next year. I didn't even ask. They offered. I was just talking about the Husky Open, and they said, come to us next year. We want to sponsor. So I got a new one, Chris.
There you go. Yeah, to add on, just get a guy like Tim. He is absolutely unbelievable for our cause. And even if he was going into places and like having an ambassador for your sponsorship is huge. Mary Jo, Steve Senior, and myself, I mean, we're out here putting out emails and phone calls, and like Mary Jo said, going to the doctor's appointments even and saying, hey, by the way, but even Tim, when he was going into these retail locations, he would say, hey, if you can't give, is there anything that you'd like to donate with your name on it so that we can maybe auction it off? And so even outside of monetary donations, those are things that Tim was super helpful with. And for us, I mean, it's a little bit different in the South Side of Chicago. In terms of community. So there's a lot of unions that are willing to donate to these causes. There's a lot of churches that are willing to donate to these causes. We went to our old high school where Steve and I went to high school, even his grammar school or elementary school, as most call it, and work locations and just that, right? And even with our golfers, one thing that we do is if they can get sponsored by their companies, which a lot of companies will do if they have an arm that supports that sort of thing. I say, hey, it will charge you X for your company, but you get to come for free if your company can sponsor you, and it brings a little bit more over the top as well. So just kind of leaning on the golfers that we have too, and we have such a strong community. And so when we invite them to come out to the golf outing for that year, seeing, hey, our revenue mostly comes from sponsors, and your fees pay for all the little things and the t-shirts and the food and the golf and all of that. But the revenue that we really can donate towards cholangiocarcinoma is mostly comes from sponsors, and that's how we can continue to forward Steven's name. That's how we can continue to forward the Husky Open and the CCF in general.
And establishing the 501c3 also helped, these last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. It's a little bit more of a challenging task, but the Husky Open is a 501c3 as of about a year and a half ago, which is awesome. And there's even online grants where you can sign up for, they're called cyber grants. And I'm happy to kind of talk through anything that needs to happen there if you're interested in something like that. It's really easy to set up. And one sponsor that we had, somebody donated, they're an employee of a company, a golfer at our outing, and then their company actually matched it spot on through that website. And additionally, through cyber grants, sometimes companies are looking to offload money at the end of their tax year, and they kind of just spin the wheel, and you sometimes get lucky with just a couple extra $100 or who even knows. And so I think just putting the name out there, making sure you're getting through the right channels, and folks and companies are really looking to give to certain causes, especially ones that are near and dear to their hearts, especially, that rang back to what Noah was mentioning about the CEO up in Northern Indiana. Like you never knew that something like this would happen. And just getting the name out there, I think that's a huge first step. And as you continue to grow, making sure you're sending out thank you notes to sponsors. And it's not just a 1 year, right? How are we going to get them back next year? Is there anything that if they attended the event, is there anything that they'd like to see the next year that you can do for them? So it's almost a client service at some points, but whatever brings them back to the golf outing, whatever brings them back to sponsorship goes a very long way.
Wonderful. Thank you all for that. Very great advice. So switching gears a little bit, Mary Jo and Chris, I'll go back to you. So what are some ways that you make your event a memorable one? How do you honor Steve and engage your golfers at the same time?
Well, he's the core of it all. The outings, of course, is named after him. I have banners with cholangio information, logos and his picture on there. And Chris always talks about him, especially when the golfers are starting, and then when we're starting at the party. Also at our after party, our VFW party, I set up an educational. I set up a sweet table. My sisters and I bake for that night, and then I have a big, board up with pictures of Steve and information about cholangiocarcinoma. And I just want people to, if anything comes out of the event, it was very important to me from the beginning that we raise education about it. I mean, this was a cancer none of us had ever heard of. And I just want people to know about it. That way they have a better chance of survival. I didn't even know the foundation existed till after my son passed away. It took a while for them to give me a definitive diagnosis anyway. And by then he was just super sick. So, I want, if anybody else encounters this cancer, I want them to have a fighting chance. I want them to have more than what Steve got. So I try to make sure education and my Steve are front and center at the after party for sure.
Great. Thanks, Mary Jo. Noah, so what are some ways that you make your event memorable for your guests and honor your mom?
Yeah, similar to that. My mom was the life of the party. She was, a literal light in a dark room. So we try to mix up like some certain things that she liked. Like so on our website, the like for example, the packages that we have different packages, right? We have a lunch sponsor, a title sponsor, and then different packages. They're all kind of named something after like her, like the beach. She loved the beach, so the beach goer package, the she loved old fashioned, so the old fashioned package. So like we a little bit of a mom flavor there. Her party drink of choice or party shot, I guess you could call it, is a green tea shot. And so every year we at the bar of the golf course, that's the discounted drink. So everybody takes a green tea shot for mom. So there's a little bit of the personal flavor there. And then our second year, we this the whole sponsorships, like the signs, instead of the whole sponsorship like showing the company, I actually got like photos made of like her and with us and the family and with a bunch of friends and the community that like I knew people were playing so they could feel like they're a part of it. So that makes it very memorable and makes everybody kind of involved. Um, the other thing too, I would say is we had the pleasure of having a family friend that is a professional photographer. Um, Kaitlin, you got to ride around in a golf cart with her at our outing. That's kind of what she does. So she takes pictures of our outing every year, and that is something that I kind of took for granted. But I've played at other outings where they didn't have that, and I think at the end of this last outing in September, I looked at my phone and I'm like, I took a total of 0 photos. And you look back and you're like, crap, like I really wanted to have like something to have for next year or for whatever, for the social media posts. Um, and so we have someone that does that, and that is something that I would recommend. And it's something that kind of goes unnoticed, but it's kind of nice at the end when aren't thinking about it to have all those photos. So.
Yes, we have Chris's girlfriend Jen is our photographer
There you go. It just makes it easier.
because you
Yeah,
get too busy. You don't
You
have time to take pictures.
exactly, exactly.
And then like last year, I was unable to golf. So a buddy of mine that doesn't golf, him and I drove around in a golf cart, and we just, brought waters and stuff out to the golfers that weren't drinking on the course and stuff, and stuff like that. Just getting other people involved.
Hmm.
My friends have been awesome. The guys I golf with on Sundays, they golf every year. The first year it was unreal. The first year we had ours, they uh, they put together a and did a sponsorship for our golf league and surprised me with it. It was really, so the best thing to do, I think, one of the best things to do is to get more people involved that you know. Because the more people, like you said, the more you get involved, the more it gets around and just makes it a better time, I think.
That's great. Yes, community is so important and having that support system to help you. Todd, can you give us any additional helpful tips, maybe your top what to do or what not to do?
With golf outings overall. Um, so one of the things I try to do for our charity event is really create a value for people that are coming. So not only we do it at a private country club, and we get a really good deal because obviously of my connection, but people don't have the opportunity to play that private country club. So for them to come out here and play that private club in your golf outing is a real value to them, especially with the price that we offer. Now, obviously, I also have an advantage of being in the golf business, so I can get things at a lot lower cost and make that value that much better. But people are going to show up and they're going to get. Actually, I have this Adidas hoodie on that we gave away this past year. and we logo it with the Birdies for Babies logo on it, and everybody gets it's a $75 hoodie from Adidas. They're going to have lunch, dinner, and beverages throughout the day. So the goal is that they're going to walk away from this saying, I didn't only support this awesome cause, but I got all of this as well. And so that's one of the keys is really adding value to what you're doing. And it's really easy when you're first starting out to say, let's, this is to not to do, let's find the cheapest golf course and the lowest price and do it on the cheap because it's your first time doing it. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you want to do it the right way. You want to show people a good time and add that value right off the bat, and then you can raise the bar year after year. Whether it be, adding that photographer or that other contest on the golf course, or including the beverage cart, or drink tickets the next year, whatever it is. You just raise that bar year after year, but don't set the bar too low to start. I think that's one of the things I would say.
Yes, great. That is great advice. Thank you. And now for some of our final thoughts. If someone is considering hosting their very first outing, what is the single best advice that you would give them? And I'd like to go around to our volunteers and also then to Todd. But Noah, can you start? What is your single best advice you'd give?
Yeah, I think knowing your why. I think knowing exactly what your goal is, and what you want to accomplish, right? I think that was one thing looking back, reflecting on year one. We had a goal, and the goal was really to, honor our mom. That's always been number one. And then we wanted to raise awareness to CCF. I think Mary mentioned that she didn't even know anything about CCF prior to anything happening, and we were similar where it took about 6 months of my mom's diagnosis before we kind of got introduced to CCF, and one of the big reasons why I felt passionately about helping CCF is a research grant. My mom was able to get a research grant, and it bought her maybe 2 months, 3 months, and but in those 2 or 3 months, my little sister got married, and my mom got to be there for that. So yes, the cancer was terminal, but did that, by having a research grant from CCF that was able to buy her 2 or 3 months, and that got her to a event that no one will ever forget the rest of their life, right? So how I could help with that is, okay, maybe now I'm not gonna cure this cancer, but if the next family that's involved in this or is going through this, can I buy that family an extra 3 months to make it to their kid's wedding or something like that? So that was a big, for us, that was a big why, but it's always been at our core is to honor our mom in our community. So I think without knowing the why, you kind of go in it laissez-faire, maybe if I will, and you go into it not really having much of a goal. But if you've got a why and you have a goal, you got a team behind you, then there's nothing that can stop you.
That's great. Chris or Todd, do you want to weigh in? Mary Jo?
Yeah, I think the one thing for me is you spend so long planning these types of things. No, I'm sure you spent, I mean, you're talking about a year in advance having the tea time, right? So you spend so long planning these things. And once the day arrives, I think Mary Jo, Steve Sr., and we looked at each other after the first year and we're like, what happened to that day, right? We wake up the next day and it's just completely gone. And so it may sound a little cliche, but just stop, pause, look around, see the thing that you put together here and you and your peers put together, and just enjoy the moments, enjoy the person that the outing might be after, and just know that they're with you enjoying that moment, and know that organization, everything you've done over the previous months, the previous year, it all came to this point, right? So don't forget about yourself and make sure that you're enjoying it. Mary Jo or Fahey, I don't know if you guys have anything else.
Just the whole day to me is all the planning is important and all that stuff too. That part is, being organized and defined roles, and we all kind of know our roles. Now we've been doing it for a couple of years, but to me, it's for me as a mom, it's one day a year where it's all about my love, my Steve, the love of my life. So For me, it's that day's everything. And if it brings a donation that is in his name to CCF, it's all good.
Well, this is an easy one for me. Obviously, if you don't know where to start, give us a call at Golf Invite. This is what we do for a living. This is an overwhelming process. It really is, as obviously Noah, Chris, Mary Jo, you guys can all speak to. If you don't have the right people around you, it's going to be really difficult to get this off the ground and running and successful. Um, you know, call us whether you use Golf Invite or not. At least we can share our knowledge with you of things, how to get started. And you'd be really surprised. We have different event planning tools that can get you started from a couple $100 all the way up to where we basically run it for you. Not basically, we do. And it's more affordable than you think. And we, in a lot of ways, can subsidize those fees that you're going to pay to Golf Invite by just showing you how to do things right. So it may seem like it's a lot of money to have somebody run your entire event, but when you see the process and what's involved and how what you get out of it, you'll understand. And at the very least, obviously, we have other things that we can help you with that are great sponsorship opportunities, hole-in-one packages, golf ball launchers. These are all ways to add excitement and sponsorship opportunities to your golf outing. So at the very least, that's worth the inquiry as well into. But again, we've been around for 20 years. I've run my own personal charity golf outing for over 20 years. So I've seen it all. I've done it all, and just use us as a resource if you're looking to do an event.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
I was going to ask, could I ask Todd one question? I was asking this last year we did do some we did partner up with the PGA Superstore. Are you familiar with the package deal that they provide? Because we did do that last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Great resource. PGA Superstore has a great gift card program where you go in and you'll donate.
That's what we did.
100%. Yeah, and I can tell you guys, I can tell you guys what's good and what's bad because when people do see you're doing a golf outing, there are companies like mine or other companies that are going to try to come to you and say, have us out at your golf outing. And again, you can come to me and say, hey, this company approached me. What are your thoughts? And I'll give you my honest, whether it's a competitor or not. PGA Superstore, yeah, they do a lot of the same things we can do, be it a hole-in-one package. I think they provide if that type of thing. But they provide great value, and if you get that hole-in-one package with it, do it. I always tell people we do signage for golf outings, but if you can go find a local sign dealer to donate it in exchange as a trade out for a sponsorship, do it because that's going to be more money to your bottom line. That sponsor is going to be helping you, and hopefully by sponsoring the golf outing, they're going to get business from it too. So again, we're not in it all for making money. We're here to make sure you're successful, and whether that's just telling you the honest truth about these different things that are out there, that's what we're here for. So.
Okay. Yeah, I just wondered what you thought about that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I had it last year. This is Mary Jo's husband, Steve. Last year, I had a gentleman call me about, that they do golf outing. For somehow he got a hold of my number, and he had a bunch of things to have setting up. But really, what he sounded like he was going to do for us wasn't much more than what we've already done,
Sure.
So, and I'm also kind of leery about someone calling me on the phone and saying, "Hey, I understand you're having a golf outing. We don't know who you are." He says, "Yeah, I'm from the area," So now knowing that there's a company like you that you work for around there, it makes it a lot easier. This will make it a lot easier for people to do golf outings and stuff when they know that there's companies available such as yours.
The resources.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things out there, and again, 21 years ago, I was probably that guy calling your golf outing saying, "Hey, I have this golf outing business. Do business with me." That's how they get started. So I can't knock that, obviously.
No,
Yeah.
I don't knock it
Um,
either. But
yeah, I can definitely give you advice on what works and what doesn't, and again, hear them out. And maybe you'll
yeah,
see the
Yeah.
value, and maybe you'll be like, that doesn't make sense to me. And from being on that other side, if it doesn't make sense to you, just be honest with that person and be like, hey, I appreciate the phone call, but I
Hmm.
don't feel like that's going to add any value to us.
right. We're not
What,
interested in.
what that's going to do is it's going to save that guy time from following up with you multiple times, and it's going to save you from having him call you multiple times.
Yeah.
So always just return a call, return an email, thanks, but no thanks, and it's going to save everybody time
Right.
down the road.
Well, the thing that kind of got me with that guy is he had, I told him I wasn't really the one that was in charge of setting up the sponsors and stuff. That's more or less Chris. And I gave him Chris's information and he never got a hold of Chris. So,
So there you go.
yeah.
You didn't want it that
Nice.
bad. I would have given Chris a call, so.
Well, thank you all so much. Thank you to our wonderful
Thanks for
panelists.
having us.
I want to make sure that we close out as close to on time as possible, and I know it's getting to that time. So we hope you all feel inspired and equipped to host your own successful golf outing in support of the Cholangiocarcinoma Foundation. So if you'd like to learn more or to get started, please feel free to reach out to us or check out our community fundraising guide on our website, which also has some more great tips on how to get started planning your fundraiser. So if you'd like to reach out to any of the panelists today, please reach out to Meredith or myself with questions and we can connect you. We will email a recording of this webinar to everyone and it will be posted on the Foundation's YouTube channel and on Facebook. So thank you again and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Good luck.
Good luck. Thanks.